As Cassandra's private plane soared into the sky, I stood at the airport, my bag firmly grasped in my hand. Hi, I'm Julian Cole, and I was hoping that this would be the perfect anniversary weekend away for us. I felt like I had done my best to prepare for this trip, one we had been discussing since January. So I was hoping, praying, for this promise to last. Shirts packed, plans made. I had even gone out and purchased a new camera lens in the hopes of capturing the love we still had. But instead, she was giggling with her glossy bouquet of assistants and pals, all geared out in pricey sunglasses and heels that clicked like they were the center of attention. "This is a girl's trip now," she said, her signature smirk sliding off her face as she made eye contact. I could have yelled. I could have made a scene right there in that moment. It felt like someone was mocking me, but I didn't understand the punchline. I didn't want to be the kind to beg at the terminal, so I turned on my heel and walked away. Her laughing echoed in my thoughts. I proceeded directly to the first-class desk, where the clerk hardly flinched as I inquired about the next flight to Paris. I had the miles, the cash, and a sudden burning in my gut telling me, go. And less than an hour later, I was buckling into a comfortable seat, drinking a drink, proof that I didn't need Cassandra's blessing to live my life. I was leaving her behind 10 minutes after she took off, not chasing, not clinging, just gone. As the plane taxied down the runway and I sipped my coffee, I knew she'd see the email. I'd scheduled it that morning. Just after she ditched me. It was from our joint legal advisor, a small programmed surprise I'd set up with a few clicks. Subject line: preliminary separation agreement. I could imagine her face. Those perfectly arched brows flying up, lips parting in that silent gasp she does when she's caught off guard. She'd be 30,000 feet in the air, surrounded by her giggling team, and suddenly pale as a ghost. Good. Let her squirm. By the time my plane touched down in Paris, my phone was already buzzing like a beehive. I didn't even check it. Just let it vibrate in my pocket as I walked into the warm, busy hum of Charles de Gaulle. Later, I'd discover 155 messages, 155 little pleads, rants, and apologies she typed out while I was sipping champagne over the Atlantic. But right then, I didn't care. I was in Paris. And for once, it wasn't about her. It was about me. I grabbed my suitcase, adjusted my jacket, and stepped out into the metropolis that was about to change everything. The air smelled like new bread and freedom. And I wasn't looking back. Cassandra could keep her jet, her entourage, her smirks. I had a ticket to somewhere greater. And I wasn't waiting for her to sign off on it. This was my runway now. And I was taking off. I sank into my first-class seat, the sound of the engines rumbling through me as we soared higher over the Atlantic. My name's Julian Cole, and for the first time in years, I wasn't flying to keep up with Cassandra's schedule or play the part of her arm-candy husband at some flashy event. This was my flight, my choice, and it felt damn wonderful. The flight attendant offered me a glass of champagne. I watched the bubbles rise and pop, each one disappearing like the promises Cassandra had made over the years. We started out as partners, equals, I believed. We built her luxury tech company together from late-night brainstorming sessions in our cramped apartment. Back then, it was our dream. But somewhere along the way, it became hers, and I became the guy holding her purse at red carpet galas, smiling for the cameras while she dazzled the world. "Julian, you're so good at being there for me," she'd say, like it was a compliment. I'd nod, play along, let her shine. But now, peering out at the infinite stretch of clouds, I saw it for what it was. I'd been erased, reduced to a prop in her immaculate little show. The champagne tasted sharp, bitter even, but I drank it anyway. I dug, into my carry-on and pulled out the leather-bound diary she'd given me last Christmas. One of those expensive gifts she liked, gorgeous, thoughtful on the outside, but empty inside. She hadn't even bothered to write a message in it. Typical. I flicked it open. The blank pages stared back at me like a challenge. My pen hovered for a second. Then I pressed it to the paper and wrote the first words that truly felt like they belonged to me, Julian's Paris. It wasn't poetry, but it was mine, and that was enough. I leaned back, letting the words sink in. Paris wasn't just a destination anymore. It was a proclamation. I wasn't going to trail behind her anymore, wasn't going to wait for a sliver of attention. This trip was about me, figuring out who I was when I wasn't Cassandra Blake's +1. The plane swayed gently, and I started planning. Land in a few hours, check into a hotel, not one of those over-the-top places she liked, just something mine. No itinerary, no press calls, no one telling me where to stand or what to say. Just walk, eat whatever smelled good. Maybe dust off my camera and take a few shots for me, not for her Instagram. That thought made me smile, a real one, not the practiced grin I'd worn for years. I glanced down at the journal, traced the words with my finger. Julian's Paris. It felt like freedom. I didn't know what I'd find. Maybe a cafe with strong coffee, maybe a quiet corner to think, maybe even someone who'd see me, not her shadow. The idea flickered, but I shook it off. This wasn't about replacing her. This was about reclaiming me. The flight attendant came by again, handing me a warm towel. I took it, scrubbing my hands like I could, wash away the last decade of playing second fiddle. Outside, the sky turned pink and gold, the sun falling beyond the horizon. I didn't check my phone. Didn't want to see her texts. Let her stew. Let her worry. For once, I wasn't the one waiting. I closed the journal, tucked it back into my suitcase, and drank the champagne. The plane leveled off, steady and sure, taking me into a city I had always loved but never truly explored. On my own terms. I didn't need her jet, her plans, her approval. I had a seat, a pen, and a clean slate. Paris was waiting, and I was ready to meet it. Not as Cassandra's husband, but as Julian. Just Julian, the guy who finally stopped ghosting himself. The end. I had a succession of photographs, each one a piece of me I'd forgotten. Genevieve strolled over as I saved the last one. "You just published your first piece of emotional honesty," she stated, her eyes firm on mine. "Feels good, doesn't it?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. It did feel wonderful. Better than good. It was like I'd clawed something back, something she'd buried behind years of her spotlight. I exited the studio as the light dropped low, the tablet, under my arm, and those images burned into my skull. Paris sparkled around me, all golden and vibrant, as I strolled back to the hotel with a lightness I hadn't realized I could feel. Cassandra's world didn't own me anymore. I was unraveling it, piece by piece, and establishing something real in its place. I stepped out of the car into the chilly Paris evening, the lights of the Summit Arena flashing ahead like a signal.